Hello, Froggy here, and today we'll be revisiting Shattered Throne from Last Wish. This time we won't have to be relying on Blink, so you can do the entire thing on Titan. You will need at least 2 people for this. We'll start off by getting into Bay of Drowned Wishes. You can have both people do this, or one person could use the fallback point, but this is possibly more straightforward, despite the weird glitches involved. After you die near the lost sector without setting spawn points, you'll make your way back to one of the disabled load zones. Generally that'll just be Font of Starlight for the blind well. And we'll just go over this small gap. And then up here you'll want to jump in between the things that are hanging down in front. So right in between here. And if it goes well, you'll spawn in Bay of Drowned Wishes. If you only have 2 people, the second person should stay put. If you go too far into Bay of Drowned Wishes, you'll end up at the fallback point when you go back, and there will be no way to trigger the Autorez. You can see that I have gone forwards, and now when I hit the load zone, I will be in turn back, and because my default spawn will be as well, it'll put me right by Spine of Keres. It's probably a better idea to not have the second person do this until you are ready for the wrong warp. Otherwise, you might find yourself having a bit of a bad time. Anyways, now it will be spawning me on the Spine of Keres side. If you come over to this side, you'll be out of turn back, and now we need to race our way to the load. I like to kind of bounce against the pushback here to get oriented. Gotta let that timer count up. And an eager swing to the side, and an eager swing forwards, and that should just get you there. So now, just need to make our way down to the Confluence area. If there's someone in Bay at this point, it's possible that you'll hit the wrong warp early, and this is not the direction that we want to hit. But that went well enough. Since we don't have the death exclusion zone anymore, probably easiest to just walk backwards and hope for the best. I got the wrong direction this time, so it's gonna take a little bit to fall to my death. Let's try that again. Unfortunately, it seems that the incorrect one is a bit more likely. If you get the right direction, you'll see something like this. At this point, it's time to head for the mountain range that overlooks Devalian mists. You'll just want to be sure to go wide to avoid getting pulled into the box barrier. Back before we lost access to the public areas, you could use the Chamber of Starlight lost sector to get a little bit of a more favorable wrong warp, but at least this one puts you on solid ground. You can get away with just stasis climbing if you do the route like I show in my Lightfall Edition video. But keep in mind that a lot of these rocks are intangible, like that one there. This one's solid, though. Anyways, you want to make your way as far as you can in this direction, and we're coming up to what is definitely the most difficult part of the route. Setting a IRB point in midair, with only a texture to use as reference. It definitely takes a little getting used to, so don't feel too bad if this takes a few attempts. Seems like we're at the place where the land ends, so time to get flying. You're going to want to have a grenade launcher to die midair, as well as something like Touch of Malice to damage yourself. I've probably got enough sword ammo here, so I'm just gonna go for it. It's actually been a long time since I have done this, and I did not bother to re-look at my old guide, so we'll see if I can manage it. I'm just going to want to follow this ridge out a ways. And then we're going to dip down below the cloud cover, and hopefully we will spot the texture we're looking for, and oh, there we go, a bit to the left. So you're going to want to make your way closer to this corner, and I'll try to highlight what we are looking for in a moment. You want to count about 2 lines from the right, and then go for the middle of the sort of V shape it forms. You have 70 meters to work with for IRBs, so you don't have to worry too much about the height. And luckily it is a very wide target that we're aiming for. Nevertheless, we're going to use the tech I described in my previous video to get reasonably close to where we set that grapple point. You'll want to go 4 Navigator shots directly above where you plan to die. And then swap to Touch of Malice or Tommy's Matchbook to take damage midair. You want to top the damage off near the top, because otherwise you'll start healing back up. And then fall for about 3 seconds while you hear the whooshing noises, and fire and release. And hopefully that'll set the spot where you need it. But we'll find out pretty soon. It's time to head for the Confluence. I'm opting for what I feel like is probably a little bit safer, heading back into the map. You could also go for getting directly to the Confluence hub. Getting back some Navigator shots. Since it is special, you'll have to lower your ammo to about half to make sure that you get pity ammo. I'm probably going to regret using that grapple in a moment. But yeah, to be safe, you'll want to gain a little bit of height and then sword fly over the regular map so that you can gracefully fall back into the box. And there's the pity ammo, but unfortunately I don't have my grapple yet, so let's get that real quick. Don't need to go too high up, just a couple of shots will do it. I think if you go direct, you might end up touching the box a little bit. But that just gives us a bit more breathing room. Once you're over this stretch of land, you should be safe to drop down. Falling damage won't kill you these days, but you can still just swap to an eager edge sword to kill your momentum. And now we can safely go into the Confluence. Although I will mention that if you have anyone left in Bay of Drowned Wishes, they should head back to Devolian Mists, because getting wrong warped would be kind of inconvenient at this point. If you do, you'll just have to make sure that you die to True Edge, since a True Edge death does not mess up IRBs. Any other sort of death will require that you start from the beginning though, so try to avoid that. Next up, we'll be getting out of map in the Confluence. There are quite a few ways to do this. I'll be going with the one that you come across first from this direction. I'll just be doing a series of jumps up the side here, and straight through this intangible ceiling. At this point, you want to make your way towards the Harbinger Seclude / Rhea Silvia side. And we'll be hitting the Death Load on the way back. I think that's Garden of Vasilla. I think it's this direction. You can tell I have not been in the Dreaming City as much as of late. There we go. I definitely remember this structure. So I find it easiest to die to this load here by kind of wiggling as you walk into this gap. And there we go. Kinda looks like I'm close to an edge, so didn't have too much leeway. Anyways, at this point, you'll want whoever is getting the Autorez to start doing their thing. If you don't have a third player waiting in Devolian Mists, you'll need to have the person that was triggering the wrong warp in Bay to trigger the Autorez. So long as they didn't venture any further into the Lost Sector, after hitting Devolian Mists, they'll die to the turnback and spawn back at the beginning of the raid. If you did go too far forwards and spawn in Spine of Keres instead, or the Spine of Keres side of Devolian Mists, I don't know of any way back, so try to avoid that. Anyways, from here, simply step forwards, and as soon as you hear the dialogue, you're home free. When it ends, it'll trigger the Autorez.
All that strength, and you're still nothing but a retainer to the awoken queen. You could be so much more. All you need to do is wish it. Come. I would quite like to meet you.
Speaking of which, I will be at GCX again this year, so if you happen to be in that area, come by and say hi. I will most likely be in a Froggy shirt. Anyways, the last thing we need to do to seal the deal and get the rest of the fire team in here is to hit the load zone. You can tell by the ramparts you can see off to the right that this is the direction of the load zone. And I think you can... Oh yeah, there we go. We hit the load zone up top, and that is the easiest case. If you end up dying to the load, you just have to climb out of a hole in the back and you'll be good to go. At this point, people can join on you to get into Shattered Throne. Naturally, since the raid instance, you can have up to 6 people in here, which makes for a pretty good time. You do have to deal with the very strange lighting you get in the non-dungeon version of this load. But worst case, you've got ghost lighting and ghost scan lights to help you see what's going on. Because of the pity ammo shenanigans earlier, I am a bit lacking in ammo, so I'm going to take a moment to regen back up. Going to set to Jagged and no ammo mod, die, and then set back to Enduring with the backup mod, and doing that repeatedly will slowly raise your ammo back up to max. The more ammo you have, the faster you gain ammo, so I generally don't like to let my ammo drop too far below 30. Wouldn't be a Froggy video with at least one more tutorial of ammo gaining now, would it? since we're not in the dungeon at all, we're going to be skipping everything. Go ahead and make your way to the left here, and we'll be dropping underneath to skip the first encounter. There are a bunch of death barriers, but no real consequences for dying, so you can try again if you mess up. Drop down this drop shaft here, and once you get to the bottom, you can look around for the load zone. Ideally, you'll die in air after hitting it, but if that doesn't happen, you'll just have to get rid of spawn points. There should be one around here somewhere. I thought I would have already hit it. Oh, there we go. See if I manage to avoid touching the ground for too long. And it seems I did touch the ground. So what you want to do if that happens is get some form of stasis crystal. And if it's not, say, salvation script, you're going to have to wait for your abilities to charge. You could also rejoin on a fire team member if you have one of those handy. But it doesn't take too long to charge a grenade. Just making sure the ground below me is reasonable. And now to die without setting another spawn point. Oh wait, this is probably fine. Yeah, the lighting made me think that I was still out of map, but nope, this is just what Shattered Throne looks like when you are not supposed to be here. It's going to take a moment to get abilities back. But in the meantime, we've now got a Solus. Hello there. Anyways, next up we need to go over to the edge of this cliff face up here to get out of map in the next area. And it turns out that this works a lot better with a grapple. You can scale the wall directly, but I am taking it a little bit easy on myself right now, since I don't know if you could tell from my voice, but I am recovering from a sore throat. Anyways, you should be able to get over the top without too much difficulty, and then drop down onto the structures below. It is very dark, so it can be kind of hard to track exactly where you are, but we're making our way down to the bridge between the two sections. So with the blue background, you can clearly see the target. And this bit here is one of the main driving reasons behind me making this video. I had, a month or so back, gone back into Shattered Throne when someone was going there from patrol, and managed to do the no-blink route, which I had heard was possible, but had not done myself, so I took some time to figure it out. I'm going to want to drop down from here and go to about where there is a visible notch in the side. Might take a little bit to get past the various death barriers in the way, but this gets you underneath one death barrier and above another, so you'll want to sword fly level. Ignore the siren calls of the false holes to the side. You're going to want to continue all the way down. Those ones are just invisible from one direction. Should be around here. Well, looks like I'm going to be doing that little flight again. But yeah, this part definitely takes a bit of practice, so line yourself up with the notch, then you can go forwards, fly as level as you can, avoid the siren call of the false holes to the right, and when you start getting to the rocky area, there should be a small hole that you can use to get underneath the room full of ogres. Here we go. It was just a little bit higher than I was before. At this point, things get a little bit weird. Gonna regen a little bit of ammo here just to get back up close to full. I think 2 will probably do it since I am already at 50 something. But yeah, there is no particularly easy way I could find to navigate this. Future Froggy here. Turns out I found a kind of easy way to navigate this, although you will need Navigator for it, so that is a little bit annoying. I want to drop under this and go forwards and keep a bit of an eye to the sky. And if you look a little to the left, there is a nice gap that you can use to get up to the top. And after you're through that gap, you'll want to turn a little bit to the right and continue on top of the building. Once you're on top, you'll be almost to where you want to go. Just gotta get this last grapple point here. You can use the Shattered Throne to orient yourself. We're just going to go a little bit towards it. And if you see the sort of wavy thing in the air, you're in the right place. Just going to make this left turn. And there is a certain triangle-y thing we're looking for. And here it is. That lets you know that this is the spot to climb. And then we can just climb on up over it. Now it's very easy to get lost in that previous area, so I'll be cutting back over to past Froggy to show you how you should handle it if you end up drowning in the darkness. Anyways, back to past Froggy. But yeah, there is no particularly easy way I could find to navigate this. You're going to want to just fly along this rock face a bit until you can duck underneath a little section. And then just kind of keep going. You'll eventually get to some awoken building architecture. And you want to land on basically whatever you can. At the end of the day, we're going to want to go upwards. I unfortunately seem to have lost my grapple, but we've got some land, so we can deal with it. Yeah, fun fact, you can swap barricades without losing your other energy for some reason, which is pretty handy. Makes for some faster grapple recharge. And yeah, we're just going to want to make our way on top of any of these buildings to help get a sense of where on Earth we are, because I can pretty much guarantee that you will get lost in this section. I have not yet gone through it without getting lost. But once you can get on top of things, you can kind of make out the Shattered Throne skyline to get a feel for where you should go. I'm just trying to find anything that lets me get to the sky. And this looks like it'll do. You can see the spire off to the left, which lets us know what direction is forwards. And for anything I can get above. The map ceiling at some points here is higher than others, and we're trying to find a section that'll let us skip over the wall. Just keeping that structure to the right so that I keep my orientation. And what we're looking for is a awoken ceiling sort of thing that leads into the cliff face to the left. Got some map ceiling there, so I'm gonna have to find another way around. It seems that this way is not the way. Well, yes, expect that you will do a little bit of struggling in this section. Alright. Let's go to the side a bit. Get around here. We're still heading in the right direction. Alright. This left turn is feeling pretty good. Ah, here we go. Yeah, if you find this thing, you are in the right place to climb. Going to be going straight up. You could naturally stasis climb up this, but Navigator just makes it a lot faster and more straightforward. And one more to get us over the edge. And we've made it to the next section. In my previous runs at this point, I've been on a warlock. But luckily the other classes can make it through this part as well. Or at least you certainly can on a Titan, and I'm sure Hunter has various things it could pull off as well, considering that they have the second best barrier push in the game. We can make it up and over on the right side of this building. Just going to climb up on the statue and then grapple above. Or at least to the side. There is still map ceiling to deal with. Oh, messed that one up. Well, just have to wait a moment to unknot ourselves. And we'll go around to the right side here. So this spot here is a little tricky. You're gonna kind of run up against the wall until it just kind of decides to let you over. It can help to grapple for a little bit of barrier push. But yeah, eventually it just kind of lets you by. Little slide to help. And as long as you get far enough, you should have a spawn point set. So I've got one right here, and I can just continue and drop down. And that gets us past that ceiling. Now, just gotta find the open end here to get back into the map. Should be a little bit below us somewhere. That looks pretty promising. And we've made it. Future Frog here. So, Daxam 5 reminded me of a much better path here. So instead of the high road, we're going to take the low road. And it's hard to see, but there is a hole that will get us to the other side. There we go. Now there are some death barriers, but we've set some spawns, so it shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, we're just gonna do a little jump up, and now we just have to find the opening to get back into the map. And I think... oh yeah, here we go. I think that route is a fair bit nicer. And now we're in the final load. This is right around where the Ogre encounter is. Might as well take a brief look around this room. Way back in the day, this was, I believe, the only encounter in a dungeon or raid that you were able to actually skip entirely without sequence breaking yourself. It was very strange, and they did eventually change that. But we'll be doing the same sort of skip that you would do back in the day, although we don't have sticky nades anymore, but we do have plenty of other nice things. I don't know if we can just get away with a strand here. Yeah, strand melee doesn't really have the same sort of properties as stasis, so I guess we will have to swap. I like to climb up on this left side here, and with the new Dreaming City geometry, we can hop on this little arch here. Well, if I can manage my jump. And should just be able to stasis melee through. And on top. Now we just need to run the old path that I always seem to forget. But it'll probably be fine this time. Follow this along to the left, drop down, and then back to the right. We'll be climbing up in a little bit. Yeah, I think right around here, there's like a little bit of invisible walls to navigate. I think, yeah, that should drop us right in. And we are pretty much home free. Yeah, it is a lot of fun to come here with a full raid fire team. Get my strand back, even though I don't think I'll need it at this point. Whee! Honestly, I get lost in this section just about as much as I do in that dark area from before. And without the enemies around, there aren't any glowing red beacons on my radar to point me in the direction I should probably be moving. I am often amused at how much more I know my way around out of map, but then in map in some of these areas. Yeah, I think it is eventually to the right-ish? My vague recollection. No, we got another lift here. Right, maybe now it's just a little bit to the right. Yeah. Maybe. Alright, this is looking good. I definitely know that there would normally be phalanxes there. And I think we are good. Yeah, there we go. Just to the right. And that'll pretty much be it. I think the last thing is just the lift up to the top. And there we go. One last lift, and no more opportunities to make wrong turns. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to find Callie up here, so the raid may be taking a bit longer than anticipated. And we have arrived at the boss arena for entirely the wrong activity. But yeah, this is a very fun route to do, so I would highly recommend giving it a go, especially if you can get a full raid fire team together. There's just something special about goofing off with 6 people at the end of Shattered Throne. Definitely not something you get to do every day. Just gotta gather everyone for the group picture. And there we go. A little bit easier than herding star cats. Anyways, I hope you find the time to give this one a go yourself. And, as always, happy exploring.